Thank you so much for joining us for the Mooresville Redevelopment Commission September 1st, 2022 meeting. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a short invocation. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the privilege and honor it is to serve this town. I ask for your guidance as we represent the taxpayers in the best of our abilities. We would ask special blessings for Officer Burton as she continues her fight this afternoon. Please look over her family, the community, and everyone that has been served by her. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from August 4th, executive session. Do I have a motion to approve?
Go ahead, Danny.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, approval of minutes from our public meeting, August 4th. Motion to approve.
I wrote them. I thought
Okay,
someone
I'll
else-
make a motion.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any public comments on the minutes from last meeting? Moving on. Financial report. Chelsea.
It's actually in front of, or was in front of Brian, has been passed down. On page 3, there should be totals, which I'm happy to come and read if you would like, or if you just flipped past it, Dana.
Yeah, I did.
Would you mind reading the balance?
What, the total down at the bottom?
Yep.
$8,938,913.84.
Any questions on the financial report from the commission? I will entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Any questions from the public on the financial report? Moving on to old business. Mooresville Business Center update.
I've spent most of my month working with our brokers as well as our attorneys and potential end users for Mooresville Business Center. That includes the Shell Building, Lot 2, Lot 3, which is the 16.98 acres north of the Shell Building, as well as the roughly 56 acres west of the Shell Building. One thing I would like your blessing to do tonight is to get a quote from Banning Engineering. We do need to plat after conversations with Tim Bennett. We need to plat Lot 3, so that's at 16.98 acres. And we also need to plat the 56 acres west of the creek. So I'd like to get quotes to plat that. I'd also like to get quotes for Alta surveys. We've been working on negotiations, and as a part of the process to close any of those deals, those are things that we're going to have to do. I think we could hold for the time being, if we wanted to, on the 56 acres, because should it be subdivided, that would obviously change the plat. But I don't see that changing on the 16.98, and I'd just like to have it so that we're ready to move forward with it when the time comes. So can I get a blessing to get that quote for those services? I don't know that really necessarily needs to come in the form of a motion, but just...
Let's do it anyway.
Okay.
Make a motion that Chelsea ask for bids.
So it's for it's a service, so we don't actually have to get bids. I'm happy to if you want me to do that, but that's it because it's a service contract that's not necessary.
to get a quote
Thank you.
to do survey and plating of the 16.9 acres of Lot 3.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
That is all I have on that this time.
Okay. Public comments on the Mooresville Business Center update. High Street, State Road 42 signal pole.
With Attorney Sturwald out, I'll just jump in that at this time, the approvals that the commission made last month have been provided to the town. Has that gone before the town yet, Commissioner Stanley?
No.
Okay, so it's in the town's hands at this point. The redevelopment commission, excluding the cost to reimburse, which you approved at the last meeting, not to exceed $81,000. That is all that this body is responsible for. And otherwise, it's the town and NDOT to work out the final kinks of the MOU that they're working on. So,
Any other discussion? Any public comments about that discussion item? Brownfield assessment grant, excuse me.
This time we have emails from the gentleman that is working with us from SMH. They're working on it, but there's nothing really to report because they have not released what the terms of the grant
or the deadline.
or the deadline.
Yeah. They did ask, were you copied on that email? I think last week?
Think so?
They did ask, and I haven't done it yet, I'll be doing that next week, but to go back through the project scope and kind of look at the entire corridor for other outliers that they could kind of enhance our story, so I'll be spending some time doing that. But there's nothing really to report at this time.
With no real update, if the public would like to talk, they are more than welcome. Main Street Subcommittee update.
So again on that one, I had a conversation with Sharon Taylor after lots of phone tag regarding the bicentennial. As we discussed at the last meeting, it had been brought to everybody's attention. I think it was on the radar, but if we were to move forward, if this body was to move forward with an RFP for design services, it would likely be a 2024 construction season. I'm not sure if it would take 2 years or if it would all be finished in one construction season. We don't know enough at this point to know that. But regardless, that coincides with the bicentennial. They don't have specific events planned yet. There's the Eclipse event that's in April that I understand. She'd mentioned that they want to do something every month of the year. They want to tag on to things like homecoming and old settlers and things like that. But there's not necessarily an overall agenda yet, because clearly I don't think we want to, it probably wouldn't look great to have downtown shut down in any portion if they're planning huge events. We did say that we would stay in communication as this continues to move forward, but I said ultimately I think that this really needs to go before the town council to kind of get consensus from the council on timing, if that's something that the council is supportive of. So Councilman Sweeney, as a member of that subcommittee, was going to bring it up, not at this coming Tuesday's meeting because it's already very heavy with the budget workshop, but the second meeting in September to discuss amongst the council. As another point, I think with the comp plan, timing is just kind of, it's all kind of interesting timing because do we do a project prior to the comp plan being released that may or may not coincide directly with the comp plan? So I think going before the council for them to discuss, I think will be a needed next step to give this body guidance as to what to do next. So happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the commission? Any questions from the public?
I can say that I met with the committee today, and the consensus
And I will just say, for whatever it's worth, I mean, one thing that we talked about was phasing. I mean, we're not going, presumably, we would not be shutting down from Carlisle to Clay or to the railroad tracks. I mean, that's just not feasible. It would be done in chunks. So is it that even if it were to move forward, if that's what the council would decide, you know, we know the eclipse is in April, so that section's not going to be shut down. We're going to do railroad tracks to, you know, the west side of near downtown. I think there's lots of things to be taken into consideration. So.
I think right now at this point, given the timelines you have laid out for planning, engineering, bidding, that we're probably looking at 2025 right now anyway. It would be tough to hit 2024.
I don't think it would be that tough to hit 2024 if we wanted to basically issue an RFP, select an engineer, have them design it, and bid it by the end of 23 for 2024 construction. I think it's doable. I think we've probably got 2 months leeway to still make that happen. That's just my opinion.
I'm not sure. It sounds like the public will is there for
And
it.
I don't know that it is.
before
Yeah, no, I don't know
2025
that it
though.
is either.
So,
I don't know that it is either. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just giving you morsels of information.
Okay.
Alrighty. If we could pencil in the police department to old business, because we've seen their project before. So if we could pencil in item E, and I'm just going to put it as police department. And I see our chief here. So, chief?
Thanks for hooking me up with this time to try to explain this project. And I apologize, I came in halfway in during this dance, and I don't really know what's... So that's why Scott's here.
Yep.
So I'm not sure when they asked. Our whole goal was to build a fence around the back of the police department with controlled access for two reasons. One, we had encountered some First Amendment auditors that pretty much just harass the police. They've been in the building, they've tried to go in restricted areas, and we have to get some signage for that. But secondly, with all the ambush on the officers now being killed, getting out of their car, sitting in their car, we wanted the officers to have a safe place behind the PD to come back, do their paperwork, or go inside without having, it's fairly dark back there, and it's pretty sparse back there just with a field. So we wanted to put a controlled access. I think initially when this was presented, they talked about a building, and that is a down the road thing, and the building was basically going to be a pole barn where we could do training. It had, wasn't going to be really a storage place so much. It was going to be a place where we could put down mats and do defensive tactics and have maybe a small gym in there for the officers to stay fit. And there was also a mention of car storage, and I think it maybe got misconstrued some way. The car storage, we have pool cars. We have cars that we don't use, that we have extra cars, and they have to stay on the property. And we have garages, but we don't have enough garage space to keep them inside, so we keep them outside. And from time to time, if we have a car that we're waiting for a search warrant on, we'll take it to the PD to wait for the search warrant until we get the search warrant. So it would be a very temporary thing. Somebody asked me if we were running a car lot. No, we're not running a car lot. So that was I just wanted to clarify that. So then we were asked to check to see if we needed to get it rezoned or anything according to that. And I met with Mr. David Moore yesterday, and he actually gave me an email saying that it didn't, there was no variance needed, that we could go ahead with the project. But then we ran into a little bump today because apparently that area was considered a floodplain. And so that was and stop me if I'm wrong.
That area was considered a floodplain, and the town brought in dirt back a few years ago.
Right.
And leveled it up to where it's pretty much even with the building. So that was a 100-year floodplain.
100-year.
And now it's probably a 500-year floodplain.
So, yeah. There was according to Dave Moore, there was, he said 10 feet of fill put in back there where they're going to build the apartments. And I would imagine that some of that is, back there's a little higher, but there's some sort of swell or drainage ditch there. So really what we have to do is we have to have it reassessed or surveyed so they can just update the topographical, because the topographical on the GIS still shows the bank there. I mean, it's been a minute. So it's just a matter of having to do that. Unfortunately, the longer it takes, the more this project's going to cost. I mean, things are going up exponentially. So I wanted to clarify that we're not going to have a car lot or a salvage yard. We wanted a safe place for our officers, and down the road, we'd like to eventually build a small pole barn where we can do training. We can train the officers. So.
Because it was, at least my understanding was that it was going to be part of an impound lot. That was that was the understanding.
We have 3 impound lots that we use. This would be, like I said, a temporary holding
Several
spot.
chiefs ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not so much an impound lot, just a place to hold them temporarily. Sometimes the courts take a few days or a week to give us permission to go through what we suspect as being a drug car.
Yeah, that would be secure. If we had to get a search warrant, if it had hidden traps, we'll have to get a search warrant. It's got to be in a secure location so somebody doesn't come back and take the car. And then in the event, we would forfeit a high-end car, something like a Maserati or something. I mean, not a Chevette. We would keep it back there to make sure somebody didn't steal it, but it would be a very temporary thing.
What is temporary? 30 days, 60 days?
Or less.
Okay.
30 days
30
or
or
less.
less.
Yeah. I don't like things sitting around. In fact, I moved the police cars behind the building because the batteries were going dead, so we got battery tenders for them. So when we're ready to use them, they're alive. So.
With that Earth project, I don't believe that it's really has anything to do with the fence. It's got more to do with the government, not this government, but
The federal
the
government.
feds.
Yes.
And the lead time items, which is the decorative wrought iron and those gates, are big lead time. So I was told that we could proceed with that even regarding this project.
Yeah. So everything on the pavement we're good to go with. And so I'm not sure why they could build a building there, but they couldn't put a fence. But I mean, that's way above my pay grade. So.
And I tried to diagram it out the best possible. Since today, we've talked about moving the fence back up to the front edge of the building, or the front corner instead of the rear corner. And that may be something.
It would still leave ample parking for the police department, but it would also cover us on our side side door, where people can, obviously it's secure, but people can try to come in.
The dispatchers park there, the administration girls, and that would put them behind the fence.
Previously, you did have some pricing, which obviously at this point is probably no good because
It's got to be re-looked at, and I was going to go
Okay.
with the top 2
Okay.
and just revisit and say, okay, we've been blessed. Can we bring it down?
And obviously they're not going to survey it for free. So
Yeah.
That's the other thing. The topographicals were already in the hole on the coast.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had the survey, the stake survey, but we didn't have that.
And if we look down the road, if they do put apartments back there, that would even increase the.
What is your specific request today? That's kind of where I'm.
Well, initially I was told that I needed to have in writing that we did need a variance back there, so I got that. And then today, we're having to adjust fire a little bit with this new floodplain thing. So I think we might come up with a contingency plan. Yeah, we just found that out like an hour or so before we got here. And so Scott has talked about maybe adjusting the fence line until we can figure out, maybe so we can get it going, so we don't have to ask for a lot more money or even any more money. so we can get the project done, at least close it off, so that, like I said, the officers have a safe place to go. And then down the road, once, the feds don't work fast, they were talking maybe 90 days at the best case scenario. And then we would try to get that back part put in.
We're still talking about bringing out water and power conduits or something for the future building, whenever that might happen.
Because they're going to have to trench it up anyway, so we figure while they're doing that, let's just run some wiring out there for our building later on down the road. That way we don't have to do it
Probably
again.
not wiring, but conduits.
Conduit, yeah, so we can feed the wire through. And I want to put a couple charging poles out there so we can plug our cars in. So like I said, they don't go dead. The more the batteries go dead, they just get trashed. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking a couple $100 for a battery. It's,
The first question, when you look at that right there, the reason I put that in there was because it came across like we didn't own that. So we got insight.
yeah.
And we do, it's just that we brought it up a couple, 2 or 3, 10 feet. So, that's the reason for the new hiccup, but it is ours.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, it's basically the same level as,
Yes.
The PD
Yes, it
for
is.
the parking.
Yes, exactly the same level.
Were you still looking to pave that back there then? Because that was
Partially,
originally.
Yeah.
around wherever we decide to do a building.
Okay.
And
And maybe you had to put footers in. So there was also a question from them about something about compact.
how long's it been down?
Yeah.
In time, it'll do itself, but
So I don't want to get the cart before the horse, but we're just looking at the fence right now. And if we have problems later on with the pole barn, we'll just have to adjust for that. We just wanted to secure the back.
I think in the same breath, as long as everything seems to take, we want to continue with the pole barn,
Yeah,
but it's not the issue.
yeah. The issue at present is the fence. So
You don't need any kind of variance for the pole barn then?
they said we don't need any variance at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We need to wait until we have the flood information though, before we.
It'd probably be before we bless the barn. Well, if you want to give me permission to create a drawing, because, everybody that is going to, it's like what she just said, everybody's got a different opinion on whatever. So, as far as putting a proposal together at some point, it'd be nice to have a set of drawings, or the size and whatever else. And on top of what the chief said about the use of that building, we also would do, we sort of take care of our own every time we do get new cars. We put the lights and sirens and
We try to save as much money as we can wherever we
instead
can.
of sending it out. I don't know if that's feasible now with Randy Rogers being gone. I don't know where that stands. But we were going to give him a place to do that kind of work. And then, like I said,
I'm completely on board with doing everything we can to make sure our officers are safe and that you are, feel safe and are able to control the in and out. Completely on board with that. But a plan, I certainly want to see much more
Yeah.
specifics.
yeah, a fence is one thing
Yeah.
for that, but I don't think anybody wants to go create drawings without
A blessing.
some
With a blessing.
little bit of blessing.
It's like, yeah, he asked me,
Money.
could we get started? And I said, well, I don't know.
So that's my question to you guys. It's the same thing as everything else you guys talk about. Request for proposals.
So I'm not the attorney, but I'll put on my attorney hat. My grandpa told everybody I was an attorney. I'm not. But, we would have to amend the plan.
Yeah.
And typically when we have done, like when we did the police station before, I know it was a not to exceed amount. And there are certain things, I think there was an item or two in your last budget that you provided that would not be applicable from TIF funds. I'm shooting from the hip here. So, I mean, there's a process that we have to go through, but I think at this point, we're kind of at a chicken or the egg. I mean, you want a blessing and they kind of
guess we
need a
wanna-
budget.
Yeah.
We are asking for a blessing to be able to pay somebody to create a sketch or a drawing. It's like paying an architect, even though it's probably not going to be an architect.
But we'd have to amend the plan first, right?
Do we have to amend the
Yes.
plan before we can pay for professional services?
That's,
Because
That's it.
because we paid for professional services for the town, right? And that was not part of our tip.
and I don't think we're talking huge money, but
Do you have any money to pay for the professional services? If you could do that and then from there,
reimbursed?
but, I mean, potentially.
Yeah.
I guess it depends how long we're out, because we're going to steal from Peter to pay Paul.
Well, I mean, at least 30 days to our next meeting.
Right.
Well, I think it'd take that long just to start talking to people. Everybody, and everybody knows it, everybody is swamped. They don't have help. And people are buying right and left. The people I did talk to regarding the building, I went with the same company that the town street department built, DC Metals. And ours would probably be a little cleaner, more clean than that one, but we're not just parking.
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify that, if nothing else, that, yeah.
Okay.
And the only reason I bring it up is just because we're going on a year just to get a fence, so.
I think, again, putting my attorney hat on, that should the commission choose to move forward, again, I'm not an attorney, I need to stop saying that, they can't blanketly approve a contract that doesn't exist. So if you would want to bring a contract to the next meeting, that you could potentially, a fee for service design
The only reason
contract.
I say this is because, if I'm not mistaken, I was told that we're looking at 2025 for this building.
Yes, for the pole barn, it's in there.
If we go to them now and say, well, 3 years from now, we might build this building, but we'd like to get a drawing right now, they're gonna say, go pound sand. You know, spending all this time and money. That's
So,
what I'm saying, if we offer them, I don't know what it'd cost, a couple $1,000 or something to create a drawing.
so the drawing is just for the building.
It's just for that phase, yeah, the building.
But as far as the fence is
The
concerned.
fence is, in my understanding, we're done, other than the topo. But I am going to put it out to bid.
So, is it in the capital improvements plan?
The building is, but it's on down the road.
Okay, so just so I understand, technically you're asking for the fence, but you're also asking for the building. In our plan, if we're gonna amend our plan, that's what you're asking
The
for.
building's down the
Yeah.
road.
Okay,
Yeah, because if we're going to amend the plan, we should do it once and not twice.
correct.
Okay.
I think what I would say, I understand your comments on, you're not gonna design a building today for,
I would.
But,
They won't.
no, understood. But I think if you would talk to them, not about just costs, which I don't know that anybody saw 2022 costs in 2019, so I understand that that's with a
I've
grain of
already
salt.
got preliminary numbers, but it's so generic that, it didn't have everything that I think that we would like to have in it. And,
Understood.
But
I think a ballpark budget is probably the baseline.
you can throw it out right now. $1 million. That, I was told to put a lift in there to lift the cars up because they're hiding stuff underneath. They're making deals like that, and And that's high. I know it's high, but it's a couple $100,000 just to get the shell of the building, let alone the training and mats and the things that go inside the building. Electrical, plumbing, heat.
The initial ask was like 158-ish, if I
That's for
if I
the
remember.
fence. That's just for the fence.
Right, but
That was,
That
that
was-
was what we initially, yeah.
Yeah, and
that
that's,
was my understanding of the original ask, which I realized you weren't even here when
No,
that
you
happened.
that's what, I thought we were here just to talk about the fence. The building, I want to get the fence
threw
up.
that out there a little bit.
Yeah,
Just to-
I have enough projects that the fence is plenty, right now, and we can, obviously the prices are gonna be way higher in 2025.
I mean, there's excavation, there's paving, there's
Yeah.
all these other.
But as far as the fence,
the
I
fence
guess his
is the-
question to me was, when can we get the fence started? And I'm like, I'm the new kid here. I don't know. You tell me. And he said, tell me when. I said, go ahead. And he said, who's going to pay for it? And I said, I don't know.
Is it you guys or is it come through?
Because I learned about the capital improvement plan when I met with Paige about my budget, and I thought it was an already approved thing, but apparently it hasn't even been approved by the board yet. And I didn't know that money was coming out of there. I thought this was already a done deal, and so I'm just learning.
And I've asked when I was told we got approved, but that was by the intern chief. I says, well, how's that work? Do we write POs or do we send it to the clerk's office to write purchase orders? Or how do we, I'm not familiar with how that works here.
And that would be a great question for Debbie or Diane in the clerk's office, because they're the ones that pay our bills, and I know typically projects in the past.
Is he okay to sign contracts, or do we need to put it in front of other people?
I would speak with your attorney.
Our attorney or the town's attorney?
The police commission's attorney.
Oh, okay.
Is who I would recommend that you speak to on that matter. I mean, I'm thinking when we did the police station in the first place, those contracts did not run through this body. They were taken care of by, I actually don't even know if those were taken care of by the town or by the police department directly.
That was probably right to Sunco,
But
one contract.
But I'm pretty sure that it was more of a reimbursement.
Okay.
So, they take care of how all that money flows, but it was not, I don't think that we wrote direct checks to.
This is going to have multiple entities, whereas they were hired to be the one contact person for the police department. This is kind of me,
Yeah.
which we're saving money because I do this for so much. That's kind of the deal. This isn't anything like the building and all the other entities that go with it. But it's still a chunk of change. And how to get these guys paid, because they're going to want to know.
Your concern number one is getting a fence up as quickly as
Yes,
possible.
that's all I'm here to talk about is the fence.
Yeah.
You want to get a fence up.
We want to get a fence up
This
there,
year.
because I don't know how long this has been in the works, because I just
Well, I
got
think
here.
there was
but-
evidently some miscommunication.
Yeah, there was, and that's why I came here to clarify
There's
that.
been too many people.
Yeah.
Is that, yeah.
I
We just want a
I
fence.
started with Virginia Perry.
Yeah, so we just want to get a fence up, and I don't know if we have the money for it. That's one thing I'm finding out is nobody has an answer. It's like, yes, no, it's that, so I'm just trying to get an answer so we can go forward.
Well, if I remember right from Adam's discussion before, we can spend the money, but we have to amend the plan first.
Correct. Which is about a 60-day process.
Which is yes.
So should this,
We didn't put it in process because of the zoning question.
Yeah.
That had to get answered first.
because it cost us money to amend the plan. So it was
Sure.
if you can't move forward because of a zoning issue, we didn't want to expend funds unnecessarily.
Yeah, and
think we
it took us
answered
like
that
5
tonight.
minutes once we.
And,
Yeah.
okay.
So should this body want to move forward, Adam can draft the initial documents for plan amendment to be kicked off at the next meeting.
remind me the cost of the plan amendment? Do you remember?
I'm shooting from the hip because I'm not positive if that would require I don't think it would. Baker Tilly sometimes has to do I'm going to call it a cost analysis. I don't think that if this is all we're really doing, I don't think
looking to
that
get
that
revenue
has to
from
do
it.
that.
We're just-
So for the most part, it's Adam's time. So
Yeah.
I'm going to say $5,000.
I would make a motion that we ask Adam to amend our plan so that we can pay for the fence for the police department.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
I'm actually going to jump in this one and say aye as well.
I do think it would be helpful to get any sort of updated budget on the fence. I know that's been a habitual moving target, but now that we're putting it in
I've backed away from it a little
plan.
bit because
Understood.
you can only go to that well so many times.
No, I understand,
Where they
but-
say,
15.
But if
At this point, we have said we're amending our plan, we're spending the money, please come to us with a budget. That's, yeah.
Well, definitely it's a lesson learned for the next project, if we have one. We'll get all this stuff
That's
done
all right.
up front, so.
Work through
I
it.
appreciate your time and patience with me, because like I said,
Do you all have any
I'm
more
not a construction guy.
Nope, we just want to make sure that we can help you protect your officers.
All right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks very much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Any public discussion? None. New business. Chelsea, anything?
no, not at this time.
Legal's not here, managerial update?
I've really talked about everything. As I mentioned, I've really spent most of my time this month dealing with brokers, end users, lots of calls, and our attorneys on some letters of intent that are not yet to a point of execution. So hopefully we have more to discuss next month.
Any questions from the commission? Any questions from the public? Review of claims.
I would make a motion that we approve our claims in the amount of $19,059.96.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Any public questions on the claims? For the good of the order, Dr. Jake Allen.
Yeah, I just wanted to provide an update about the comp plan. There's going to be a public meeting on September 15th from 5:30 to 7 at Mooresville High School. And you can also go to planmooresville.com to take a survey if you can't go to that meeting.
Commissioner Heinrich,
I don't have anything.
Commissioner Taylor,
Good here.
Commissioner Cope.
I said it in private earlier, but I want to say it so that it's on public record. Jake, the school line is moving much better this year.
Thank you so much, Mr. Culp. I worked on that very hard. I'll pass that along to our principals and everyone else. Thank you, sir.
I have nothing. Public comments on anything that you heard tonight? Next meeting, it says TBD, or TBD. Reason being, our next meeting falls on fall break. In some shape or form, I imagine that we may all have scheduling conflicts. So, do you want to move the next meeting? And when, if you would like to move to the next meeting?
And it would be great to have it that week if we can, just because fall break's actually 2 weeks, technically. So if not, we would be going about 7 or 8 weeks between meetings.
And we're also talking about trying to fast track a project here. So putting it off another 2 weeks would probably not be the best.
Would it be possible to move it to, because this is September 1st, and there are 5 Thursdays in September, what if we moved it to September 29th?
That would work for me.
It's open, Lou? Okay.
That makes sense.
Yes, I have no idea what my schedule will be like. But we'll try. If not, Ryan can take the reins.
Okay.
Alrighty, our next meeting, tentatively September 29th, here at 6 o'clock. We will publicly put up notice, and if we need an executive session, we certainly will. I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion to adjourn and a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much for joining us. We are adjourned.